Good evening, everyone. We are learning more tonight about how city leaders in Poplar Bluff reacted to news that the city manager's DUI was about to go public.
Robert Nodell's alcohol-related arrest dates back to October, but we did not learn about it until 2 months after it happened. Our report on Nodell's arrest aired on December 4th. We told you authorities in DeSoto County, Mississippi, charged him with misdemeanor DUI after finding his car turned sideways in the middle of a highway. An incident summary showed his blood alcohol content that night at 0.168%. Nodell texted me a statement late that afternoon saying he had a reaction to medication and that physicians were working with legal people in Mississippi. Then 4 days later, he put out a second statement admitting to driving after drinking and announced he was stepping away from his duties to seek help. Now, after that first story aired, we still had questions about what Nodell told city leaders about his arrest. So we put in a sunshine law request for emails and texts that are considered public record. So far, we've received dozens of emails unrelated to Nodell's arrest, but one text exchange that is. It's between Nodell and Police Chief J.R. Kersey, and it's clear they are discussing our story in the hours before it aired. These public records show Poplar Bluff Police Chief J.R. Kersey reached out to City Manager Robert Nodell the afternoon of December 4th as we prepared to air a story on Nodell's October DUI arrest in Mississippi. In a text sent at 2:28 that afternoon, Chief Kersey tells Nodell that I am trying to track down him and members of the council for comment. Quote, I tried to talk her out of it and cash in a couple of favors, but she seemed determined and said it was over her head, Kersey writes in the text. Kersey then suggests if Nodell or someone he knows can go over my head, quote, and try to squash her airing it on the news, end quote. According to the text, the chief then tells the city manager that I have copies of the Mississippi police report, and he did all he could to get me redirected, but I'm on a mission. The text records show Nodell responds to Kersey at 2:45 with the following, quote, my attorney in Memphis has told me to keep my mouth shut. I'm about to go down for a loud muffler and pay a fine for that. That's all it'll be. But I will see if I can get the story slowed down, end quote. According to the text exchange, Kersey then types back at 2:49 p.m. Good advice. I'm not sure who her boss is, but the vibe I got, that's what it's going to take. The text exchange ends with Nodell at 2:52 saying, quote, people being nasty to my wife is my biggest concern. She doesn't deserve any of it. Nodell also raised concerns for his wife to me when he first responded to my request for comment on the DUI. He texted me this statement at 3:28 on December 4th. Saying people who have issues with his wife are raising this issue from back in October. Quote, this will be resolved in January favorably for me, end quote. He goes on to say, attacks on the spouses and children of public officials should be out of bounds, but sadly they are not. I got both a phone call and a written response to that text exchange from Chief Kersey, and we received a health update on City Manager Nodell. First from the chief, who says after his call today, he feels like I may have taken some of that text exchange out of context. Chief Kersey says he informed Nodell about the story and the fact that I had the police report in an effort to be truthful. He believes I told him that my boss wanted me to air the story, so he told Nodell in case he needed to speak to my boss to allow more time to draft a statement before it aired. Kersey goes on to say, quote, I do not condone what Mr. Nodell is being accused of, but I do believe everyone deserves due process and should be treated with dignity. I cannot speak on behalf of Mr. Nodell as to what the meaning of his text messages conveyed, but I do know that mine were of good intentions. You can read the chief's full statement along with this story on your KFES News app.